mission station on Space to Ground.
Welcome to Space to Ground, your weekly look at what's happening on board the ISS. I'm Dan Hewitt. 3 new crew members are now on board the International Space Station. On Wednesday, Reed Wiseman, Max Sarayev, and Alexander Gerst launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Following a flawless 9-minute ride up, the 3 found themselves in orbit chasing after the International Space Station. Wiseman, Sarayev, and Gerst were very busy in the hours leading up to launch, waking up early to sign the doors inside the Cosmonaut Hotel. After that, it was time to suit up and say farewell one last time to friends, family, and well-wishers. With one final wave, they loaded into their Soyuz and were strapped in for launch. The trio caught up with the International Space Station after about 6 hours and docked the Rassvet module. Once the hatches were open, they were greeted by the crew members already on board before getting a chance to say hello to friends and family watching from down on Earth. This week was also an important first for robotics in space. The station's Special Purpose Dexterous Manipulator, or Dexter for short, became the first robot to actually repair itself in space. It was controlled by teams on the ground here in Houston to swap 2 cameras on the station's robotic arm and its mobile base. Tasks like this for Dexter have important implications down the road for potential robotic missions in space, like repairing and refueling satellites, or even helping to clean up the amount of space debris currently orbiting the planet. This week's social media question comes from Alex on YouTube. Alex asks, how do you extinguish fires inside of a spacecraft? Well, as you might imagine, it can be a lot trickier to put out a flame in microgravity. In the event of a fire on the ISS, the astronauts focus on eliminating 3 things: ignition, oxygen, and fuel. Ignition is removed by cutting off electrical power from the fire source. Oxygen is then removed by turning off ventilation. Since there's no convection in microgravity, the fire will starve itself of oxygen. The astronauts can also use fire extinguishers to remove the oxygen from the nearby environment. Finally, fuel is controlled by only flying materials to space that are very unlikely to burn. Make sure to keep sending your questions and comments using the hashtag #SpaceToGround. We'll see you next week.